If you're here because you think Kotaku sucks because it's woke or whatever, log off, delete your account, go away. That's not what we're here about. We're here to talk about an actual journalistic, financially incentivized problem with Kotaku. So I want to be very clear. This is a Kotaku criticism, but it does not have anything to do with wokeness. Okay, we're going to get started. This is the G Word, the only internet talk show that does recur, does not deter, and is named after a slur. In October of 2025, October 1st specifically, Kotaku published this article. The internet reacts to the big Xbox Game Pass price hike. They make a lot of points about people's reactions to the Xbox Game Pass price increase. It's a lot of P sounds. $20 to $30 a month. I'm not really interested in the particular. I just want to make a particular point. So, uh, $30 Xbox Game Pass. Tons of people reacting. It's clearly indicated as negative press, and the way that you can tell that that's the case is because this is the article they published the next day. So this is the enshittification of Game Pass is here. This is kind of an op-ed, kind of like an article or a report with some data and good points about why Game Pass is getting worse and why Xbox as a brand is getting worse. And we've seen with the new CEO all the problems with Xbox. This is October 2025. You could argue that Kotaku's a little bit ahead of the game here, but they're mostly reporting on the internet controversy, talking about how Game Pass is bad. It is marked as a commentary piece, but the point stands. But starting recently, all the way back to October, there has been almost no indication that there's any issue with Game Pass. So, starting today, I saw this article 2025 GOTY contender Hades 2 tops a loaded month for Game Pass, whatever. And I was curious because I remember Kotaku having done criticisms of Game Pass in the past. All these great games are coming to Game Pass, and the implication of this, right, is that you should subscribe. That a 2025 GOTY contender is tops a loaded month, loaded with great games. So you should subscribe to Game Pass. But I thought Game Pass sucked. That's the thing. I thought that we've been doing all this reporting because Game Pass is bad. They even included in the enshittification of Game Pass article the fact that Microsoft's site literally struggled to stay up because so many people were trying to unsubscribe from Game Pass the day or week or so that it was announced that they were raising the price. They themselves are admitting that it's not great, that people are canceling. But still, all these great games are coming to Game Pass. So, this one, you can beat Game Pass. You can get a better deal on Game Pass at a record low. It's SEO optimization. It's not a journalist's problem. It is a writer that is forced to do these kinds of things for the purpose of the company and the shareholders. All of these journalistic outlets have been bought by these huge companies that only care about profit. In fact, there was multiple reports that when the company had bought these that they were asking, I believe it was Kotaku, to strictly focus on guides. And honestly, thankfully Kotaku didn't do that. Thankfully they still do put out some news. But if you're watching this and for you, your immediate criticism is to attack the journalists that are making these articles, you're targeting the wrong person. It is the corporate takeover of frankly all of the big journalistic outlets right now. And it's not that they can't be trusted because the individuals are dishonest. They do good reporting. There is a code of conduct that they abide by. That's not what it's about. It's about the fact that Kotaku is both writing articles, genuinely good reporting about the problem with Game Pass, the problem with Microsoft. But then, because it's a huge publication owned by a big company that only cares about profit, they're also forced to do this. And you can even see it says this article is part of Kotaku deals, produced separately from the editorial team, produced separately. We may earn a commission when you buy through links on the site. They are trying to make money off of deals. They still have to write this. You're a writer for a website. You want to write about video games, but your expectation is that you will also write deals articles. But it keeps going. Buy the Asus ROG Xbox Ally X. Game Pass just got one of another GOTY runner-up. It ends up becoming this thing where it's like, don't subscribe to Game Pass. Everybody's canceling, but subscribe to Game Pass. Here comes Cyberpunk 2077. Xbox is back at a record low, unlocking 500 plus games for less. And remember, in October, this is February, They'd specifically written articles talking about how much Game Pass sucked. Kingdom Come Deliverance and The Witcher 3 are coming to Xbox Game Pass. That's cool. Xbox Game Pass sees a price cut, moving closer to its pre-search pricing after last year's 50% increase. At Stack Social, whatever that is, I have no idea. I'm not looking into it. You can save money on this thing that supposedly sucks. Xbox had great games in 2025, but everything else is bad, 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 bad. So what are we doing? I wish that corporate money wasn't so involved in these publications so that like these types of publications and people that work for them could actually make a stand. I do think, to wrap up this video, that it's worth noting that these publications are not perfect. But it is complicated when you have a publication on this scale, and we can look to see who they're owned by. The acquisition of Kotaku is a part of Kellyopp's strategy to expand its presence in the US tech media market and strengthen its portfolio. Kotaku was sold by Geo Media to this company, Kellyops, in July of 2025. That does seem to be a better company that has a better interest in a higher quality writing than Geo Media did. But there is still this conflict of interest between promoting Game Pass and also criticizing it. And maybe you can be a Game Pass subscriber and still criticize Xbox. I'm not saying that you can't do that, but I think it's worth considering, and it's a frustrating thing. I know by putting Kotaku in the headline that it's going to get a lot of attention that I think is like ill-gotten and misguided, but I'll make my point clear. This is a problem with corporate ownership and financial incentivization of the companies that own these journalistic outlets, and it is frustrating to me that Kotaku can't really decide how they feel about Game Pass. If you have any strong opinions about this that are not related to wokeness or anti-wokeness, feel free to comment. I think it's an interesting discussion. Thanks for watching. This is the G Word. In the words of Hideki Kamiya, you deserve to die 1,000 deaths. May you be cursed to never play games again.